In New York's glittering financial district, where skyscrapers pierce the clouds and ambition burns like wildfire, an 11-year-old boy, Liam Carter, dares to challenge a corporate titan. His mother, Rachel, a brilliant data scientist, lies in a Brooklyn hospital, her heart failing from a rare condition, a transplant her only hope, but the $350,000 cost is a chasm they cannot cross. Across the city, Titan Dynamics looms, led by Eleanor Voss, a CEO whose icy resolve hides the scars of losing her daughter and husband to corporate greed. Liam, in his mother's oversized suit, armed with her resume and a love fiercer than Wall Street's ruthlessness, storms Titan's fortress. Unknown to him, CFO Nathan Reed plots to oust Eleanor, exploiting her buried grief in a conspiracy that threatens to crush Liam's mission. Can a child's desperate courage melt a heart frozen by loss? Will Liam save Rachel? Or will Nathan's treachery doom them all? In this clash of love and power, one boy's heart could unravel an empire, proving that miracles can rise from the ashes of despair. The city watches, breathless, as Liam steps into a world where dreams are forged or broken by the brave. Eleanor Voss stood on the 50th floor of Titan Dynamics' Wall Street headquarters, her steel gray eyes scanning New York's skyline like a general surveying a battlefield. At 40, she was a titan in the tech industry, her name synonymous with unrelenting precision. Titan Dynamics, a powerhouse in AI and data analytics, thrived under her iron grip, its profits soaring like the glass towers that define Manhattan's pulse. Employees called her the Glacier, a moniker earned through 3 years of leadership that crushed inefficiency with surgical ruthlessness. Her black suit, tailored to perfection, was armor against a world she'd learned to distrust. Each decision a calculated strike to maintain Titan's dominance. This morning, her heels echoed on marble as she strode into the boardroom, where executives sat rigid, their careers dangling by threads. Q2 reports, Eleanor commanded, her voice a winter gust. The room braced as she dissected each presentation with chilling accuracy. Ellis, your team's algorithm latency cost us $10 million. Terminated. No flicker of emotion crossed her face as security escorted the stunned executive out. To Eleanor, people were cogs in a machine, replaceable if faulty. Clara Evans, her assistant, watched from the doorway, her heart heavy with unspoken concern. She'd witnessed Eleanor's evolution from a grieving widow into this corporate juggernaut, her humanity buried beneath layers of pain she refused to acknowledge. 3 years prior, Eleanor's world had shattered. Her husband, Daniel, and their 6-year-old daughter, Lily, perished in a car crash, a tragedy born of Daniel's exhaustion from endless deadlines at his cutthroat firm. He'd been rushing home from a late-night meeting, Lily asleep in the back seat, when a delivery truck obliterated their future. The loss forged Eleanor's mission. Titan Dynamics would be a bastion of efficiency, free from the chaotic demands that stole her family. Yet, in her zeal to protect, she'd become the very monster she despised, enforcing policies that punished personal lives and rewarded sacrifice over love. In the boardroom, a junior VP pitched a family-friendly initiative: flexible hours, parental leave, mental health support. Eleanor's jaw clenched, her eyes narrowing. Titan thrives on discipline, not indulgence, she snapped, silencing the room. Weakness breeds failure. Meeting dismissed. Executives filed out, but Clara caught a fleeting tremor in Eleanor's hand, a crack in the Glacier's facade. What no one understood was that Eleanor's coldness wasn't ambition, it was survival. She'd frozen her heart to endure, each rejected family policy a brick in a wall shielding her from memories of Lily's giggles, Daniel's weary smiles, and the crushing guilt that she hadn't fought harder for their time together. Downstairs, Titan's lobby buzzed with employees navigating a culture of relentless commitment. Parents skipped their children's recitals, canceled family dinners, and worked weekends to prove their worth. Eleanor had engineered this system, believing it eliminated the chaos of personal choice. But the truth was darker. She'd built a machine that echoed the one that destroyed her happiness, demanding loyalty over life. Clara noted Eleanor's growing isolation, her avoidance of anything tied to families. Last week, Eleanor had fled a meeting when an employee mentioned his son's soccer game, her composure fracturing. The glacier was thawing, though no one dared whisper it. Across the Hudson, in a Brooklyn hospital, A boy named Liam Carter was about to challenge this empire with a force Eleanor couldn't quantify, a child's love. Desperate and unyielding, his mission would test the limits of her frozen heart, threatening to unravel the carefully constructed fortress she'd built to keep her pain at bay. In New York's unforgiving arena, a collision loomed, one that would shake Titan's foundations and redefine its soul. In a cramped Brooklyn apartment, where the radiator clanked like a dying engine, Rachel Carter hunched over her laptop, its dim light etching shadows on her pale face. At 34, she was a data scientist whose algorithms had once revolutionized startups. But now her brilliance battled hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, a rare heart condition that stole her breath and future. Her fingers, trembling from fatigue, debugged code for a failing fintech company. Each line a desperate bid to outrun the medical bills piling on her kitchen counter. An eviction notice, hidden behind a chipped coffee mug, loomed as a silent threat. Its red ink a testament to their unraveling life. "Liam, bedtime?" Rachel called, her voice thin but laced with warmth. Her 11-year-old son emerged from their shared bedroom, his dark eyes carrying a wisdom no child should bear. Liam had learned to read his mother's pain since his father walked out 4 years ago, leaving divorce papers and a void no promises could fill. "You're working too late," he said, setting a mug of chamomile tea beside her. Rachel's heart ached, not from her illness, but from the love that had quietly reversed their roles. When had her son become her protector? "I'm okay, buddy," she lied, her smile brittle. Liam perched on a stool, studying her with unsettling clarity. "Mrs. Lopez says you need a transplant." She heard about a program at Bellevue. Mrs. Lopez, their neighbor in 4C, was their lifeline, delivering homemade tamales when Liam was sick and tutoring him when Rachel worked late. But transplants required money, and Rachel's insurance had vanished when her startup defaulted on benefits. Every chest pain, every gasp, was shoved into a mental folder labeled "Deal with later." A stack growing heavier each day. Liam slid beside her, his oversized pajamas brushing the worn linoleum. Kids at school talk about Titan dynamics. Their health plan's the best, covers transplants. Everything. Rachel's tea caught in her throat. "Since when did 11-year-olds research corporate benefits?" "Since my mom started clutching her chest like she's scared she'll stop breathing," Liam said, his bluntness sharper than his words. Rachel pulled him close, whispering, "I'm not leaving you." But Liam's eyes held the weight of a boy who'd seen promises shatter, his father's vows now dust in an empty apartment. As Liam curled up on the couch, Rachel felt a stabbing pain radiate through her chest, fiercer than before. She pressed her hand against her heart, counting erratic beats. Tomorrow. She had a make-or-break presentation at her startup, a chance to secure a contract that might keep them afloat. She needed one more day, one more pitch, one more lie that her body wasn't failing. But fate rarely spares the fragile. In the apartment's quiet, as streetlights bled through cracked blinds, Rachel's condition was a ticking bomb, each second drawing her closer to a crisis that would test her son's courage. Unbeknownst to her, Liam lay awake, his mind spinning with a plan so bold it defied reason. Titan Dynamics. With its legendary benefits, was his mother's salvation. He'd heard of its CEO, Eleanor Voss, a woman who could move mountains or crush dreams. If he could reach her, plead his mother's case, he might save Rachel. In a city that devoured the weak, Liam Carter was forging a weapon from love, preparing to wage a battle against impossibility that would echo far beyond their crumbling home. The air in Nexus FinTech's dingy conference room was thick with tension and the acrid scent of burnt coffee as Rachel Carter stood before a flickering projector. At 34, her data science expertise had crafted an algorithm that could rescue the failing startup, and today's investor pitch was her last hope to secure a lifeline for her and Liam. Her slides glowed with precision, her voice steady despite the fire clawing at her chest. Hypertrophic cardiomyopathy had turned her heart into a traitor, each beat a gamble. Liam sat in the reception area, doodling equations on his tablet, a facade of calm Rachel fought to maintain. "Our model cuts risk by 45%, she said, gripping the table as vertigo crept in. Then it hit, a searing bolt of pain that ripped through her chest, stealing her air. Her left arm numbed, the room spinning like a carousel gone mad. "Miss Carter," an investor called. But Rachel's legs buckled, and she collapsed, papers fluttering like dying birds. Chaos erupted: shouts, a receptionist's scream, phones dialing 911. Liam's tablet crashed as he bolted toward the glass door, his heart plummeting with the dread he'd known when his father's suitcase rolled away. "Mom," he cried, but a staffer held him back. His world fracturing. Paramedics stormed in, radios crackling. "Female, 34, probable cardiac arrest," one snapped, kneeling beside Rachel. Liam watched, paralyzed, as they worked with grim efficiency. Their jargon, ventricular tachycardia, defibrillation, a code for his worst nightmares. At Bellevue Hospital, Dr. Patel's voice was gentle but devastating in the ICU's sterile hush. "Your mother needs a heart transplant," he told Liam. "Her cardiac muscle is failing. Without surgery in 72 hours, survival odds plummet." Liam's voice was a whisper. "How much?" The answer, $350. 000, felt like a death sentence. Liam sat by Rachel's bed, her face ashen against the pillow, tubes weaving a fragile web around her. Mrs. Lopez arrived, her rosary beads trembling in her hands. "Pequeño, how did this happen?" she murmured. "Her pitch," Liam said, staring at the ICU doors, their steel unyielding. The hospital's fluorescent glare burned, but tears wouldn't come, not yet. Rachel's startup offered no benefits, no safety net. Medical bills mocked their poverty, each zero a nail in their coffin. Liam clutched Rachel's phone, Googling transplant costs, insurance loopholes. Anything to claw back hope. Mrs. Lopez's hand rested on his shoulder, but Liam's mind was locked on Titan Dynamics. He'd heard classmates rave about its health plan. Immediate, comprehensive. A beacon in New York's corporate sea. Scrolling Rachel's laptop, he found her resume. NYU Masters, algorithms that saved millions, testimonials shining like gold. His mother was exceptional. But unconscious, unable to fight. Liam's resolve hardened. If Rachel couldn't reach Titan, he would. The plan was lunacy, an 11-year-old against a corporate giant. But sanity was a luxury they'd lost. As Mrs. Lopez dozed, her prayers a soft hum, Liam's determination crystallized. Eleanor Voss, Titan CEO, held the power to save Rachel. If he could breach her fortress, present his mother's worth, he might secure the miracle they needed. Liam squeezed Rachel's hand, whispering, "I've got you, Mom. Just hold on." In New York's merciless rhythm, a boy's courage was rising, ready to challenge an empire and rewrite his family's fate in a collision that would shake the city's core. Under Bellevue Hospital's unyielding fluorescent lights, Liam Carter sat on the family lounge floor, his mother's laptop a lifeline in the dark. Rachel's heart monitor beeped faintly from the ICU, a 72-hour countdown to irreversible failure. At 11, Liam had no wealth or influence, only a mind honed by hardship and a love that burned like a beacon. His fingers danced across the keyboard, diving into Titan Dynamics' digital realm. The company's website boasted AI innovation, skyrocketing profits, and a benefits package that shimmered like a mirage: full medical coverage, emergency transplants, family crisis support, everything Rachel needed to live. Liam opened Rachel's resume, memorizing her credentials with fierce focus. NYU Masters in Data Science, 7 years crafting algorithms. A project that saved a Fortune 500 firm $5 million. Terms like machine learning and Python were foreign, but he chanted them like spells. Rachel Carter, senior data scientist. Predictive analytics expert. Titan's employee stories fueled his hope. A programmer's daughter saved by emergency surgery, a manager's wife granted a transplant, all covered instantly. Liam whispered, "They save lives." Eleanor Voss, Titan CEO, was the key, her billion-dollar empire bending to her will. Mrs. Lopez stirred, her knitting needles glinting. "Pequeño, you need rest," she urged. But Liam's gaze was fixed on Voss's photo, severe, untouchable, powerful. If anyone could rewrite fate, it was her. But how could a boy reach Wall Street's queen? Liam's plan crystallized. Reckless and impossible. He'd infiltrate Titan Dynamics, posing as Rachel's envoy, and convince Voss to hire her now. In the hospital bathroom, he faced a cracked mirror, wearing Rachel's navy suit. Mrs. Lopez, with pins and thread, tailored it to his frame. "You look grown," she said, tying his tie, but her voice wavered. "Liam, where are you going?" "To save Mom," he replied, meeting her eyes in the glass, his determination chilling her. "Tomorrow, say I'm in the cafeteria if anyone asks." Mrs. Lopez nodded, her heart torn, unable to deny a boy who'd lost too much. Liam spent the night preparing, studying Titan's hierarchy, mapping bus routes from Bellevue to Wall Street. He printed Rachel's resume, her portfolio, dashboards, client praise, his ammunition. He practiced his pitch. Ms. Voss, my mother's a data scientist with unmatched expertise. Her transplant requires your benefits. Confidence, he'd learned, outweighed age. Liam counted Rachel's emergency cash, $42, enough for bus fare and a cab if needed. At 3 a.m., he knelt by Rachel's bed, her hand cold. This is crazy, Mom, he whispered, but you taught me to fight. He tucked a note in Mrs. Lopez's knitting bag, gone to save Mom. Back by noon. Don't worry. The ICU's hum bore witness as he planned his assault on a corporate empire. He studied Titan's address, 55, Wall Street, executive offices on floors 48 to 50, mapping every step. Liam adjusted the suit, practicing his handshake, his posture, his voice. He'd walk into Titan like he belonged, a boy wielding love as a weapon. Tomorrow, he'd face Eleanor Voss, a woman who crushed dreams as easily as she built empires. The odds were insane. But Liam had moved beyond reason, into a realm where love made the impossible merely daunting. With $42, a resume, and a heart full of desperate hope, Liam Carter was ready to storm Wall Street and fight for the miracle his mother needed. As dawn painted New York's skyline, Liam Carter slipped out of Bellevue Hospital's side exit. His mother's suit rustling with each step. The city's hum enveloped him, but his focus was razor-sharp. Titan Dynamics, a Wall Street monolith where Rachel's salvation lay. He boarded the M15 bus. Rachel's resume clutched like a shield. Wall Street's towers rose, and Liam's pulse quickened as he stepped onto the sidewalk, Titan's black spire looming like a fortress. The revolving doors spun ahead, a gateway to a world where he was an intruder, yet necessity drove him forward. The lobby was a shrine to corporate might, marble floors gleaming, ceilings vanishing into shadow, professionals moving like synchronized gears. Liam approached the reception desk, his oversized shoes slipping despite stuffed tissue. The receptionist, her smile polished but wary, eyed the boy in a suit. "Can I help you, dear?" she asked, her tone for lost children. Liam stood tall, channeling boardroom dramas. "Good morning. I'm here to see Ms. Voss about an urgent employment matter for Rachel Carter, senior data scientist." Before she could reply, a side door cracked open, and Liam caught a hushed exchange. Nathan Reed, Titan's CFO, stood with HR Director Vanessa Klein in a dim conference room. "Voss is slipping," Nathan whispered, his voice venomous. "She flinched at my daughter's recital story. One public breakdown, and the board will oust her." Vanessa nodded, her eyes cold. "We've got 4 incidents, her dodging family talks, the coffee spill. We need something big, Nathan." Liam's stomach lurched. Reed was plotting to topple Voss, exploiting her grief, and a new CEO might ignore his plea. The receptionist murmured into her phone about protocol, but Liam's mind raced. Nathan's coup could derail Rachel's transplant, with only 72 hours left. "Ma'am," he said, voice steady, "this is a medical emergency. Rachel Carter's qualifications are unmatched." He slid the resume forward, but the receptionist's eyes flicked to security nearing the elevators. Nathan and Vanessa stepped out, spotting Liam. Nathan's gaze sharpened. A predator sensing a glitch. "What's this?" he sneered. "A kid playing businessman?" Liam held his ground. "I'm representing Rachel Carter for immediate employment." Nathan's laugh was icy, but his unease flickered. Unplanned variables were threats. "This isn't a daycare," he snapped, but Liam saw his glance at Vanessa, a signal to tighten their net. The receptionist hesitated, phone in hand, as security closed in. Liam's window was narrowing, but Nathan's plot changed the stakes. Voss wasn't just a CEO. She was a target, fragile in ways Liam hadn't foreseen. If he could reach her before Reed's scheme unfolded, he might save his mother and the woman who held their fate. "Please," Liam urged the receptionist, 5 minutes with Ms. Voss. As security loomed, the elevators chimed, and Eleanor Voss emerged, her presence halting the lobby. Her eyes locked onto Liam, not with disdain, but with a spark of recognition, as if she sensed a force she couldn't quantify. Nathan's smirk tightened, his plan teetering. Liam's breath caught. The moment of truth had arrived, a collision that would expose Titan's underbelly. Reed's conspiracy was a ticking bomb, and Liam, a boy with nothing but love, stood at the heart of a corporate war, ready to ignite a revolution with his desperate courage. Titan Dynamics lobby crackled with tension as Eleanor Voss's heel struck the marble, her gaze slicing through the chaos. Liam Carter, 11 and swallowed by his mother's suit, stood firm despite the security guard's looming presence. Nathan Reed hovered nearby, his smirk masking unease at this unforeseen disruption. The receptionist faltered, "Ma'am, he demands to see you about employment." Eleanor's eyes settled on Liam, and for a fleeting moment, a shadow crossed her face, not rejection, but a glimmer of something human. As if she saw a ghost from her past in the boy's defiant stare. "What's happening here?" Eleanor's voice was a blade, cutting the air. Liam stepped forward, evading the guard, and offered a trembling hand. "Miss Voss, I'm Liam Carter, representing Rachel Carter for immediate employment. Thank you for your time." The lobby stilled. Nathan scoffed the only sound. No one had dared approach Eleanor with such a mix of childish audacity and adult gravitas. She ignored his hand, but her eyes narrowed, intrigued. "You're a child," she said, her tone probing. "What could you want?" Liam's pulse thundered, but his rehearsed words held firm. "My mother, 34, is a senior data scientist, NYU Masters, 7 years in predictive analytics. She's in Bellevue with a heart condition, needing a transplant in 72 hours. Her startup's insurance collapsed. I've studied Titan, your benefits cover emergencies. Rachel's algorithm saved millions. She's your ideal hire." He slid her resume across the desk, hands steady. Nathan snorted. This is ridiculous, but Eleanor's raised hand silenced him, her gaze locked on the boy. "Your mother's unconscious, and you came alone?" Eleanor's question was a test, but Liam met her eyes. "Yes, ma'am. Sometimes, the right person meets the right moment. Mom says that's a miracle." The word miracle struck Eleanor like a spark. 3 years ago, Daniel had spoken of miracles, planning Lily's future before a truck stole them. Nathan edged closer, sensing a crack. "Ms. Voss, security can handle this. The board awaits." Eleanor ignored him, her focus on Liam. "Why should I indulge this?" she asked, her voice softening, almost vulnerable. Liam's facade wavered, revealing a scared child. "Because I can't lose her. She's my everything, and you're my only hope." His raw plea pierced Eleanor's armor, echoing her own loss, Lily's laughter, Daniel's sacrifice. Nathan's eyes gleamed, but Liam's courage was a force he couldn't counter. Eleanor saw her daughter in the boy's resolve, a mirror to her buried pain. Her jaw tightened, torn between logic and a stirring she couldn't name. 5 minutes, she said sharply, turning to the elevators. "My office. But this ends with social services, not a job." Liam's face glowed with hope, a light that stung to see. Nathan's composure cracked, his plot teetering as this boy threatened his endgame. As Liam followed Eleanor, gripping Rachel's resume, the stakes soared. He breached the empire, but convincing a woman whose heart was a vault loomed ahead. Nathan's whispered call to Vanessa Klein sparked a darker plan. A desperate bid to sabotage the miracle Liam sought. The lobby watched, breathless, as a child's love faced a corporate titan, setting the stage for a battle that would expose Titan's soul and test the limits of Eleanor's frozen heart. Eleanor Voss's office on Titan Dynamics' 50th floor was a glass cathedral, New York's skyline a backdrop to the storm brewing within. Liam Carter sat across her polished desk, Rachel's resume a fragile tether between hope and despair. At 11, he looked dwarfed by his mother's suit, but his eyes burned with a resolve that made Eleanor's chest constrict. She scanned the resume, NYU Masters, algorithms saving millions. Stellar testimonials, but beneath her composed exterior, Liam's presence was unraveling her. His desperate love for his mother was a key turning in a lock she'd thought sealed forever. Stirring memories she'd buried deep. "Rachel Carter's qualifications are notable," Eleanor said, her voice controlled but strained. "But a child pleading for a job? This is unprecedented." Liam leaned forward, undaunted. "It's desperate, Ms. Voss, but not hopeless. My mom's the best. She needs a chance." The word hopeless echoed Daniel's voice. Planning Lily's future before corporate demands stole them. Eleanor pushed the thought away, but Liam's next question shattered her walls. "Do you have kids?" The air thickened, her hands trembling, betraying the glacier's facade. "I had a daughter," Eleanor whispered, the words scraping her throat. "Lily's 6. My husband, Daniel. A car crash, 3 years ago." Liam's gaze softened, seeing the grieving mother beneath the CEO. "What happened?" Her voice broke as the truth poured out. Daniel worked late, always rushing. He was driving Lily from daycare. A truck. They were gone. For the first time, grief flooded her, unfiltered. I built Titan to protect families, but I became what destroyed mine. The admission was a wound laid bare, her empire's lie exposed. Liam's voice was soft but piercing. If Lily saw you now, what would she want? The question was a blade, cutting through Eleanor's defenses. She saw Lily smile, Daniel's tired eyes, and knew Lily would want her to save Rachel, to spare Liam her pain. Eleanor's reflection in the glass was a stranger, the glacier melting into a woman who could feel again. Liam's courage mirrored her lost hopes, a beacon she couldn't ignore. "You're like her," she murmured. Her fight, her heart. Liam's eyes glistened, but he held firm. "Then help us, Miss Voss. Please." His plea was a lifeline, pulling her from despair. Eleanor grabbed her phone, hands steadying. "Clara, contact Bellevue. Hire Rachel Carter immediately, executive package, full benefits. Transplant approval now." Liam's gasp was pure relief, tears breaking free as hope replaced dread. Eleanor's awakening ran deeper. Liam had shown her Titan's truth, her policies, overtime mandates. Penalized leave, echoed the culture that killed her family. Love, not efficiency, was strength. She stood, resolve forming. Titan would change, starting today. Liam's love had exposed her empire's flaws, but Nathan Reed's shadow loomed. His plot to exploit her grief was a ticking bomb, and Liam's miracle was at risk. Eleanor's heart, newly thawed, beat with purpose. She'd protect this boy's family as she couldn't protect her own, but Nathan's treachery was closing in, a corporate conspiracy threatening to undo the redemption Liam had sparked. As they left for the elevators, Eleanor felt a flicker of Lily's spirit in Liam's hope, a sign that her transformation was only beginning, and the battle for Titan's soul was far from won. As Eleanor Voss's call to Bellevue Hospital greenlit Rachel Carter's transplant, Liam Carter stood in her office, hope surging through him like a tidal wave. New York glittered beyond the glass. But a darker force stirred within Titan dynamics. Nathan Reed, the CFO whose plot Liam had overheard, was a viper coiled to strike. In a secluded executive suite, Nathan conferred with Vanessa Klein. His voice a low hiss. "Voss is hiring the kid's mother? Perfect. Stall the insurance. System error. Anything. If the surgery fails, her meltdown will hand us the board." Vanessa nodded, her eyes glinting with ambition. Liam, clutching Rachel's resume, sensed danger as he left Eleanor's office. Clara escorted him to the lobby, but Liam's ears caught Nathan's voice from a nearby room. "Delay the hospital's verification," Nathan ordered. "We need 48 hours." Liam's heart sank. Nathan was sabotaging his mother's lifeline, betting on Eleanor's collapse to seize Titan. With Rachel's 72-hour window shrinking, every second was a war. Liam had breached the empire, but outsmarting a corporate predator was his next battle, one he couldn't lose. In the lobby, Liam ducked behind a marble column, his mind a whirlwind. Confronting Nathan was futile, a boy against a CFO, but hospital staff had taught him systems could be bent with cunning. Using Rachel's laptop from his backpack, he tapped Titan's guest Wi-Fi, accessing public employee portals he'd researched. He found an emergency benefits authorization form. His fingers flying as he entered Rachel's details, name, employee ID from Eleanor's approval, medical codes from Dr. Patel's notes. The system demanded a manager's override, Nathan's territory. Clara returned, her face tense. "Liam, security's coming. You need to go." Liam whispered, "Nathan's blocking Mom's surgery." "I heard him. Help me." Clara's loyalty to Eleanor flared. She glanced at the laptop, then nodded. "My login. Hurry." With Clara's credentials, Liam submitted the form, a confirmation pinging to Bellevue's billing office. But Nathan was ruthless. In his office, he'd tagged Rachel's file as under review, triggering a hold. Liam's submission had slipped through, but the hospital needed manual confirmation, and time was bleeding away. Liam sprinted to a lobby payphone, dialing Mrs. Lopez at Bellevue. "Tell Dr. Patel the insurance is approved. Check the email," he urged. Mrs. Lopez, frantic but trusting, relayed the message, spurring the hospital to verify. As Liam hung up, Nathan appeared, his smile venomous. "Clever kid, but you're outmatched." Liam stood tall. "Mom's getting that surgery, an MS. Voss will know your game." Nathan's eyes narrowed as Clara, overhearing, slipped away to alert Eleanor. The clock ticked. Rachel's life teetered on a knife's edge. Liam's gambit had forced Nathan's hand, but the CFO's next move was brewing, a desperate escalation to ensure Eleanor's fall. The hospital's confirmation was processing. But Nathan's influence lingered, a shadow over the miracle. Liam's courage had lit a fire, but corporate betrayal threatened to snuff it out. As Eleanor learned of Nathan's treachery, the race intensified, a boy's love clashing with a predator's ambition. The outcome hung in limbo, but Liam's defiance had shifted the battlefield, exposing Titan's rot and setting the stage for a reckoning that would test Eleanor's newfound resolve and seal Rachel's fate. Eleanor Voss stood in her office, New York's skyline a silent witness to her rebirth. Liam Carter's courage had shattered her icy facade, exposing the lie of Titan Dynamics' heartless efficiency. She'd built an empire to shield families, only to mirror the cruelty that stole Daniel and Lily. As she finalized Rachel Carter's hiring, Clara burst in, breathless. "Ms. Voss." Nathan's sabotaging Rachel's insurance. Liam overheard him. Eleanor's eyes blazed, the glacier now a furnace. Nathan Reed's betrayal wasn't just a personal slight. It threatened the miracle she'd vowed to deliver, a betrayal of everything Liam's love had rekindled. She summoned Nathan to the boardroom, her voice a controlled storm. "Why is Rachel Carter's insurance delayed?" Nathan, caught off balance, mumbled about system errors, but Eleanor's stare cut through his deceit. "You've been plotting my removal," she said, presenting Clara's evidence, emails, timestamps of Eleanor's emotional moments, a dossier framing her as unstable. "You exploited my grief for power." Nathan's smirk vanished as board members, summoned by Clara, entered, their expressions stern. Eleanor's proof was ironclad. Nathan's correspondence with Vanessa Klein, orchestrating delays and board manipulation, laid bare his treachery. "You're finished," Eleanor declared. "Terminated immediately." Security dragged Nathan out, his protests fading. Vanessa, complicit, resigned under pressure, her role exposed. Eleanor faced the board, her voice steady yet raw. "Titan has betrayed its purpose. I've enforced policies that crush families, echoing the culture that killed mine. No more." She proposed radical reforms, flexible hours, family leave, childcare support, mental health programs. Moved by her honesty and Liam's story, the board approved, a seismic shift for Titan's soul. Eleanor's change transcended policy. She saw Lily in every employee's child, Daniel in every strained parent. Her empire would no longer demand life over love. She called Bellevue, ensuring Rachel's transplant was funded, personally verifying paperwork to thwart Nathan's sabotage. Liam, in the lobby, heard her voice on Clara's phone. "Your mother's surgery is tonight," she said, emotion cracking her words. "You've changed us, Liam." His relieved sob echoed, a sound she'd cherish forever. In her office, Eleanor lifted a photo of Lily and Daniel, untouched for years. Liam's love had taught her grief could fuel healing, not destruction. She issued a company-wide memo, announcing reforms and vowing a culture of humanity. Employees, long oppressed by Titan's demands, read it with awe. Parents like Maria Chun, who'd missed her daughter's plays, and David Ortiz, who'd skipped his son's games, felt hope bloom. Titan was no longer a machine but a community. Eleanor's victory over Nathan was a rebirth, not just a purge. She dismantled her toxic legacy, forging a vision where families thrived. Liam's heart had sparked this revolution, proving a child could rewrite corporate dogma. As she prepared to visit Bellevue, Eleanor felt a lightness absent since Lily's laughter filled her life. The final hurdle loomed, Rachel's surgery, but Nathan's defeat had cleared the path. Liam's miracle was poised to triumph, a testament to love's power over ambition. Eleanor's transformation was complete, but the true test awaited. A moment where a boy's courage and a woman's redemption would converge to save a life and redefine an empire's purpose. Bellevue Hospital's ICU glowed with sterile light as Liam Carter gripped his mother's hand, Rachel's transplant surgery unfolding behind sealed doors. The heart monitor's faint beep was a lifeline, each pulse a prayer. Liam's eyes, raw from sleepless nights, stayed glued to the entrance, where surgeons battled time to save Rachel. Mrs. Lopez sat beside him, her rosary a soft rhythm, her presence a rock in the storm. Eleanor Voss arrived, her usual suit traded for a sweater, her face no longer the glacier's mask but a woman's. softened by hope and a debt to the boy who'd changed her. "Liam," Eleanor said, kneeling, "your mother's with the best team." Her voice wavered, far from the CEO who cowed boardrooms. Liam nodded, his small hand clutching hers. The boy who'd stormed Titan Dynamics seemed fragile now, yet his courage had reshaped an empire. Eleanor saw Lily in his fierce love, Daniel in his defiance of fate. She'd come to secure Rachel's care, but Liam's strength anchored her as much as she supported him. Their shared vigil was a bridge, built from loss and hope, spanning their wounded hearts. Hours crawled, each second a lifetime, until Dr. Patel emerged, exhaustion lining his face. "The transplant succeeded," he said, and Liam's sob of joy rang through the room. "Rachel's stable, with full recovery ahead. Titan's insurance covers all: surgery, rehab, care." Eleanor's tears fell, her first in years, as relief washed over her. Liam hugged her, his gratitude a fierce tide. And in his embrace, Eleanor felt her icy armor vanish. "Thank you," he whispered, "for saving Mom." She shook her head. "You saved us, Liam." In Rachel's recovery room, Eleanor watched Liam at his mother's side as Rachel stirred, her eyes opening. "Liam," she murmured, weak but alive. "I'm here, Mom," he said, tears streaming. "You're safe." Rachel, learning of Liam's bravery and Eleanor's aid, grasped Eleanor's hand. "You gave us everything," she said, voice faint but warm. Eleanor smiled, raw. "Liam did. He's the miracle." The bond they forged was unbreakable, a family reborn through a boy's love and a woman's redemption. Weeks later, Rachel thrived, her new heart strong, and joined Titan as a senior data scientist. Her algorithms revolutionizing the company. Eleanor visited their Brooklyn apartment, bringing books for Liam and a mentorship offer. She saw Lily in his spark, honoring her daughter by nurturing him. Titan's reforms flourished: flexible hours, childcare, family support, freeing employees like Maria Chin to attend her son's recitals, David Ortiz to coach his daughter's team. Titan was no longer a tyrant but a haven. Liam's love had saved Rachel and redeemed Eleanor, proving a child's heart could topple corporate cruelty. As they stood at Rachel's discharge, New York's skyline glowed, a monument to their triumph. Love had prevailed, not through wealth or power, but through a boy's refusal to let his mother fade. Eleanor found purpose in Liam's hope, and he knew he'd kept his family whole. Their victory echoed beyond the hospital, a testament to courage that reshaped an empire and healed broken souls, showing that love's light could pierce even the darkest corporate shadows. Liam Carter and Eleanor Voss's journey unveils a timeless truth. Courage and love can shatter the hardest barriers, transforming lives and systems that seem immovable. Liam, an 11-year-old boy, faced Titan Dynamics' corporate fortress with only his love for his mother, Rachel, saving her from a failing heart and awakening Eleanor from a grief-locked prison. Eleanor, hardened by the loss of her daughter and husband, found redemption through Liam's heart, proving that humanity can triumph over pain. Their story reveals that unchecked ambition can fracture families, but love, bold, selfless, and fierce, can mend what's broken. Titan's shift from a heartless empire to a compassionate haven shows that no structure is too rigid to change when touched by human connection. This lesson urges us to reflect deeply. Do we chase success at the cost of those we love? Do we build walls to hide our pain, only to isolate our hearts? Liam's bravery teaches that even the smallest among us can ignite change with love and resolve. Eleanor's transformation shows it's never too late to choose compassion over cruelty, to heal what we've harmed. Their triumph calls us to prioritize people over profit, to see love as strength, not fragility, in a world often cold and calculating. Act now to embody this truth. Pause today to cherish your loved ones. Call a parent, hug a child, listen to a friend's struggles. Extend kindness beyond your circle. Volunteer at a hospital, support a medical fundraiser, or offer a stranger a moment of care. Like Liam, let your courage spark miracles, however small. Like Eleanor, dismantle any hardness in your life, choosing empathy instead. In New York's vast skyline or your own community, be the warmth that melts ice, the voice that lifts the fallen. Love fiercely, act boldly, and watch how your actions ripple, proving that even in the darkest moments, a single heart can light the way to redemption and hope.